there, thank you so much for joining me today. This video is an inventory video where I am looking at all of the products that I have in each makeup category and I compare it to the beginning of the year, and I also have some numbers for the beginning of last year as well. I'm going to start with eye products, then lip products and face products, and then we'll look at all the numbers together at the end. And I want to clarify that for eyeshadow palettes, I count those as one item, but I do have a section where I count the total amount of eyeshadow pans that I own, so we can look at it from both ways. For travel sizes, if it's a deluxe size or something that would take me a couple weeks to finish, then I do count it as its own product. If it's a sample that I could use up in a day or two, I don't typically count those. And for products that have multiple different categories within one, for example, this Charlotte Tilbury face palette, I count this as 4 different products. So it counts as 1 highlighter, 1 blush, 1 bronzer, and 1 contour. So now that we've sorted that out, let's start with all of the eye products. The first category is brow products. At the beginning of the year, I had 3. I had 2 pencils and a gel. I now have 2 pencils and 2 gels. I did finish up the ColourPop eyebrow pencil, and I'm pretty close to finishing up the NYX one as well. I recently purchased the Ulta one because I wanted more of a taupe blonde eyebrow pencil, and then I received the Merit one in PR. I do typically like to have a pencil and a gel at any given time, and depending on what color my hair is or how dark or light I want my brows to be, I do like having a mix of different shades. So this is probably a category that'll stay roughly the same. If it gets a little bigger, that's not a big deal. The next category is eyeliners, and this has stayed the same. I have mostly the same, it's all the same eyeliners. If you can see, those 2 pencils in the middle have gotten a little bit shorter. Those are the ones that I use the most often. And honestly, I might declutter that ColourPop one on the right side just because I never use those felt tip liquid liners. The next category is eyeshadow primers. This has also stayed the same. It takes me a long time to use up eyeshadow primers, so I don't really see this category changing anytime soon. There are a couple drugstore eyeshadow primers I'd like to try out in the future, but I am also happy with the ones that I have. So at the beginning of next year, when I give my next update, I might have 1 more, but I don't know if I'll finish either of these before then. Next category is mascaras. I had 4 last time and I have 5 this time. I did finish the Essence Lash Princess and the mini Charlotte Tilbury one, and I have since received 2 mini Tarte ones in a recent order that I did where I tried a bunch of minis from Tarte. This is a pretty standard number. I have anywhere from 3 to 5, 3 to 7 mascaras on me at any given time, and that's fine. I do have 2 of them open currently, and I kind of just keep 1 or 2 open at a time and then move on to the oldest one after I finish the one I'm working on. The next category is eyeshadow palettes. This one has gone down. I purchased 1 eyeshadow palette from Lethal Cosmetics, and I did declutter 2 of them, and I'll have my most recent declutter in the cards if you'd like to see my reasoning behind the things that I got rid of. I had 20 palettes at the beginning of the year. I now have 18. This is pretty good. It's still a lot. It's still probably more eyeshadow than I'll ever need, but I do really like the mix of formulas and colors that I have, and I like being able to play around with them. And I recently started my Pan Those Eyeshadows project back up, so I am actively using a number of these palettes, trying to hit pan on certain shades. For eyeshadow singles, I had 38 at the beginning of the year, and I have 42 now. Aside from that Lethal palette, which is a palette made up of singles, and I don't count those as singles, I count that as its own palette. I haven't purchased any new singles. I think what happened is I had decluttered some singles, and then I might have brought them back into my collection, and maybe forgot to put them back in the declutter pile. I'm assuming that's what happened. While I don't feel like I'm really in the position to need more single eyeshadows, it's not something that I'm keeping myself from purchasing. If I want to try some new formulas, I will, but I don't really have any desire to go out and try any new single shadows at the moment. I do have a couple singles that maybe I have pan on them, and I have used the majority of the product in the pan. It would be nice to finish some singles at some point. I don't have any plans to do that just yet, but maybe in the future, maybe next year, I'll have like a actual finishing eyeshadow project pan, or at least something like that incorporated into an existing project pan. Now when you look at total eyeshadows, at the beginning of the year I had 270 and I now have 236. I don't think I've finished any eyeshadows, but I did declutter some palettes and then bring that new one in. So it makes sense that I have fewer eyeshadow pans than I did at the beginning of the year. I don't really have any strong feelings either way about the number of eyeshadows that I own. Like I said, I have a lot of different formulas and colors to play with. I'm really happy with the collection that I have, and I don't currently have any desire to bring in any new palettes anytime soon. The next category is concealers, and I had 6 at the beginning of the year. I now have 7. I finished the NYX Dark Circle Concealer, RIP. That's a discontinued product that I loved and I can't get anymore. I'm currently using the flower one. It's not as good, but it still does the job. And I did purchase 2, one from ColourPop and one from Tarte. The ColourPop was sort of a mistake. I thought I was trying a new ColourPop concealer formula, not realizing it was one that I already had and loved. So I haven't opened it just yet, but I will get to it eventually. The next category has gone down. I had 15 highlighters at the beginning of the year. I now have 12. I decluttered a palette and I decluttered that Kosas duo, but I did also receive a Merit liquid stick highlighter. I remember a couple years ago I was always wanting to try new highlighters. There were so many out there that I wanted to eventually purchase, and I really can't think of any highlighters that I need to go out and purchase. Actually, I do want to purchase the Flower liquid highlighter, the one that's supposedly a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury one. I would love to get my hands on that if it was ever in stock, but it's not like something I need right now, and of course I still have the Charlotte Tilbury one that I can use. I would like to focus on finishing some of my highlighters. If you can see, that Charlotte Tilbury one has a really big pan in it. I do have some minis and some liquid highlighters that I can start using regularly to finish up. I can't guarantee that I'll have any finished by my next update, but I don't foresee this number getting a lot bigger. And I will mention that at the beginning of last year, of 2021, I had 23 highlighters. And I mentioned in that video, that update, that I was overwhelmed. That was way too many highlighters for me. And I did declutter a few, but a lot of them were minis or liquid highlighters. And so I was able to finish quite a few highlighters since that update a year and a half ago. And that feels really great. That makes me feel like I enjoyed the ones that I had, but I worked through them. So now my collection is a lot more manageable and makes me feel a lot better. The next category also went down, even though I did purchase a few blushes. And at the beginning of this year I had 15, I now have 14. If you look in the top left corner, I do have 3 new blushes, 2 cream blushes, one from Tarte, one from Merit, and then I did get my hands on one of the ColourPop Heart blushes, which I was really excited to get. But I did declutter a few as well. I decluttered the duo from Cover FX, and I also decluttered the one from Kosas. I also finished that liquid lipstick that was in the previous photo from ABH. It was in the shade Crush. I finished that by using it as a cream blush, and I think that's what I'm going to continue doing with my other liquid lipsticks, because it's very rare for me to wear liquid lipsticks on my lips anymore, and some of them are a little bit older, so I don't feel comfortable putting them on my mouth anymore, but they are beautiful as blushes. I've mentioned it again and again. I love using liquid lipsticks as cream blushes. I think the staying power, the pigmentation is amazing, and it just takes whatever powder blush I put on top of it up a notch. I haven't officially moved any liquid lipsticks into my blush category for that reason, but it is something I plan on doing in the future. I might eventually work out the liquid lipstick category altogether. The next category is bronzers. This number has stayed the same, but I did declutter a bronzer from Marc Jacobs, and I did bring in a cream bronzer from Tarte. I don't go through bronzer nearly as quickly as I used to back in the day. I think I just don't apply nearly as much as I used to. So this is still way more than I'll ever need, and I would like to eventually work this number down. There are a couple bronzers out there that I would like to try at some point, but it's not anything urgent. Versus blushes, there are quite a few blushes still out there that I would like to try. I don't have pan on any of my bronzers currently, which is rare, so I'd like to start hitting pan or using up some of the ones currently in my collection before I go out and purchase new ones. The next category is face powders. This number has stayed the same. I have all the same powders that I had at the beginning of the year. I kind of rotate through these. I do have pan on that Besame pressed powder in the top left, and I do imagine I will use that up. I use that to set my under eye concealer every day. Once I finish that one up, I might not repurchase the refill pan just yet. and maybe try to use some of my other products like my Kosas powder. I think that one would work nicely under my eyes too. I do still have plenty of powders. I'd like to work through some of these first again before I bring new ones in. Kind of a major theme across every category. The next category is foundations. I had 7 at the beginning of the year. I now have 8. I did finish one up, the It Cosmetics CC Cream on the right side of that first picture. I finished that one, and I did bring 2 new ones in. One was from Merit in PR, and the other one is a mini from Tarte. I am currently trying to finish that mini ColourPop one. I don't have a ton left in that It Cosmetics foundation in the center. Same with that Smashbox foundation on the right. I have a variety of different finishes and levels of coverage and shades and undertones. So this is a really great working collection for me. There's always going to be foundations out there that I want to try, but it takes me forever to finish foundations, and I'm aware of that. So I'm glad I have some smaller mini ones and ones that I could realistically finish. I am just going to try to use the foundations that I have and really bring this number down. I think 8 is still a little bit too much for me. I don't have like a number in mind of what would be the perfect number of foundations, but I still think that this is a little bit much because of how slowly I go through them and how quickly they expire compared to that. The next category has gone down. At the beginning of the year, I had 2 powder foundations. I now only have 1. I did declutter that It Cosmetics one just because the color wasn't right for me, and I didn't really love the formula either, so I couldn't see myself finishing it realistically. I do have Pan on the Makeup Revolution one. I really like it. That one is affordable. It's got a nice level of coverage. It's great for like really easy days when I just want to kind of put a dusting of powder foundation on and I don't want to do a full foundation routine. Lots of brands have been coming out with powder foundations, and I would like to try the majority of them. I'm just trying to focus on my liquid foundations first because obviously those are going to expire much more quickly than a powder would. The next category has gone up. I had 5 primers at the beginning of the year. I now have 6. I did use up one of the Too Faced mini primers that I stocked up on when I thought that they were being discontinued. I actually think that they are still available. Like, I think I've seen them at CCO stores, and they might still be on the Too Faced website. So I'm not sure what's going on there. They might still be slowly phasing it out, but I purchased a bunch of travel sizes when they were on sale because I was worried that they wouldn't be available anymore, and I really like this primer, especially for keeping me from getting oily throughout the day. So I used up one of those. I'm currently using another one, so I've taken it out of the box. Right now I'm trying to finish the e.l.f. Jelly one. It's not like a bad primer, but it's not like my favorite. I'm still having trouble getting over that texture because it is like a very unique texture. And I did purchase 2 minis from Tarte, and I am liking them so far. So this is good. I have some oil control primers, some glowy primers, or ones that can help my foundation look more skin-like. So depending on the time of the year and the type of makeup I'm going for, I have a primer that can help me create that effect that I want. The next category is setting sprays. I have the same number, 6 at the beginning of the year and 6 now. I used up an all-nighter setting spray, and I used up the mini Ulta one. I'm in the process of finishing the Tarte mini, and I did purchase the ColourPop one as well. And then I have 2 from e.l.f. and 1 from Charlotte Tilbury, which is like a super glowy one. Definitely not one that I use in the summer. I tend to use that more in the winter when my skin is drier. The all-nighter one is a staple. It's one that I always love to have in my collection, especially for like special occasions or really long days. And so once I get closer to being finished with the all-nighter, I might purchase another duo towards the end of the year whenever they have that special on like the Sephora website where you can get 2 for the price of 1 full size normally. And just make sure I'm working through my setting sprays in a timely manner so they don't expire before I am able to finish them. I've never had a setting spray expire on me because it's something I use every day. I use quite a bit of it every time I do, and so I don't have trouble going through setting sprays. There are a lot from other brands that I would like to try. Nothing has been able to compare to the all-nighter though, honestly. That's just been a staple and an old favorite for so long. But it is a product that I like to try new formulas and new brands of, and so I will continue doing that, but making sure I'm working through my setting sprays first. The next category has also gone down, not because I used any up, but because I unfortunately had to declutter some. I had 17 at the beginning of the year. I have 13 now. There were 3 or 4 NYX lip pencils that I purchased from the Suede line. I really like their regular lip pencil line. If you can see, the majority of them are from that brand. And I purchased a couple more from the Suede line because they had some cooler tone purples and shades that I wanted that I couldn't find in the original lip liner line. Unfortunately, the formula was horrible and I could never make it work. It was like trying to apply a regular colored pencil, like one that you used to draw with, on my lips, and it just could never deposit any color, and they were super dried out, and so I did end up having to throw them away. There was no way for me to salvage them, so I did get rid of a couple. If you can see, some of the lip liners are shorter in length than in the original photo. I do kind of rotate through the colors and use them often. The next collection has grown quite a bit. This is probably my biggest category when we look at growth. I had 13 lipsticks at the beginning of the year. I now have 20. I did purchase a number of tinted lip balms because I want to do a best and worst tinted lip balm lipstick hybrid video at some point. I am still in the process of testing out all the formulas and comparing them and putting together a more well thought out review video for those. But as a result, my collection has grown. I am almost finished with a lipstick from Charlotte Tilbury in the shade Live It Up. I'm going to use the rest of the product that's in the container that I can't apply to my lips, and I'll convert that to a cream blush, so that might be in the blush category at the beginning of next year if I haven't already finished it. I'm hoping to have it done by the end of this year. And I do have some mini lipsticks and other lipsticks that I've used a lot already. I would like to make sure I'm constantly trying to go through my oldest lipsticks, especially the Charlotte Tilbury ones, so they don't expire before I get to finish them. And yeah, even though this is a lot, I have been wearing a lot of lipsticks and tinted lip balm hybrids. I don't really know how to explain what they are. They're not like full-on lipsticks, but you know what I mean. I've been wearing a ton of those. I really like that formula. I'm really into it. And so I can see myself, my goal is to realistically finish all of these at some point. I think the only one I wouldn't be able to realistically pan is that Besame one, because it's like a really bright orchid purple, and I don't imagine I'd be able to use that one so much that I could completely finish it, but I would like to get close. The next category has stayed the same, even though I have used up quite a few lip glosses. I had 9 lip glosses / oils at the beginning of the year, and I still have 9. I finished the Charlotte Tilbury lip luster, and I finished one of the Marc Jacobs lip glosses. I'm in the process of finishing the other Marc Jacobs one, and I did bring in 2 from Merit from PR. So the number has stayed the same, but some of them have switched out, and my process or my way of handling this is to just make sure I'm working on my oldest lip glosses at any given time. The next category has gone down. Like I said, I will likely eventually phase this one out altogether. I had 10 liquid lipsticks at the beginning of the year, and I now have 8. I would like to convert most of these, like I said, to cream blushes and get more use out of them instead of them just sitting in my collection unused. I don't know about those reds. It is nice to have like a red lip in my collection, even if it's not something I reach for all the time. So I think I might still keep those just because I prefer a liquid lipstick versus a bullet lipstick for red. But there is one from Charlotte Tilbury. I can't remember what it's called. Is it called Runway Red? I don't remember. But that one is gorgeous. I tried that on in like a Charlotte Tilbury lip swatch video where I swatched like 20 plus different lip products from Charlotte Tilbury, and that one I had as a sample, and it was beautiful. It blew me away. So if I were to switch over to a bullet lipstick, I'd probably go for that one, but that is very far in the future. I have 2 reds that I really like right now. But yeah, the other ones, the ones that are more nude colors, more peachy colors, pink colors, I could definitely use those on my cheeks, especially as they get older and I don't feel comfortable wearing them on my lips anymore. The next category has gone down, and that is tinted lip balms. I had 10 at the beginning of the year. I now have 7. I used up 3 of those NYX lip balms. Those are just lip balms that I keep on me in different parts of my life, like in my backpack, at my vanity, by my bed. I am going to start slowly working through those and then probably using some of those tinted lip balms that I mentioned in my lipstick category and use those more as daily balms instead of repurchasing these ones from NYX. I still really like the NYX ones. But I do obviously have some products that I can use as an alternative. The Catrice ones, I am going to try to finish those too. They are a little bit older, and I'm really not loving like minty lip products anymore, and the Catrice ones do have a slightly minty feeling to them and taste. So I would like to work those out with the intention of not repurchasing them. They were products that were favorites for a long time, but I have found some other alternatives that don't have that minty sensation, that plumping sensation. So I think I'm gonna eventually replace these with those. Now let's look at all the numbers together. I had 203 total makeup products at the beginning of the year, and I still have 203 now. So even though I've used up some products and purchased some and decluttered them, that number has stayed the same, which was very surprising. I didn't know that that's how it was going to turn out. If you look at the beginning of last year, a year and a half ago, I had 224 products. So the number has gone down. I have 21 fewer products than I did at the beginning of last year, which does feel good. Here's another look at the numbers. Like I said, 203 at the beginning of this year, 203 now. I purchased 39 items, I finished 13, and I decluttered 26. Again, if you'd like to see a declutter video where I go into more detail about the products that I passed on or got rid of and just my reflections on them and how they're going to affect my future purchasing habits, I will have that video linked in the description box and in the cards. I think doing these inventory check-ins every 6 months instead of every 3 months like I had originally planned is good because I don't go through products that quickly and I don't purchase that much makeup that my numbers are going to be super different across each category just within 3 months time. I love watching people's inventories, and a lot of people are doing those updates right now because it is the middle of the year. So I'll have some people linked in the description box, some recent inventory videos that I've been loving in the description box for you to discover as well. But if there's any on that list that I don't know about, please tell me. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching my inventory video. Like I said, I'll have my next update at the beginning of next year of 2023. But in the meantime, that's everything I have. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!